Professional wrestling and all things, well, wrestling. Here are your hosts, Jerry Pickering and Dan Nawrocki. Hey, we're back.
Hey, we're back.
We're back once again for another finisher podcast all about professional wrestling, and you are finding us right here live right now on Facebook, and you're looking at our faces, our ugly ass mugs. One clean shaven, one bushy son of a bitch.
But cleaned up from before. Come on now.
Hey, a little bit, yeah. Welcome to the podcast. Dan, how are you today?
Best day ever. You?
It's a great day. It's a good day. I'm happy.
I love when I can catch you off guard with that little.
I like it.
That
I like it.
Yep.
It's good stuff right there. Or as the kids say, that's goodish. Hi, Jim Wood. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Make sure, if you're already on here, you're already watching us right now. We are on Facebook Live. Our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Finisher Podcast, which you can find that link right down there in the corner. Facebook.com/The Finisher Podcast. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us everywhere. You can find all of our streaming, all of our podcasts, Spreaker, and a bunch of different ones. And if you want to find where to listen to us, where to watch us, like our YouTube channel or any of our podcasting avenues, head over to thefinisherpodcast.com, which also is right down there. Just go there and you can find our blogs. You can find exactly where to find us. You can find our title history of who has held the title and when they've won the predictions championship. You can find a bunch of stuff there. Dan does some great blogs. I gotta start doing some. He's done some ones of In Your House. I think he just posted one last week.
Finishing him up, I got a little distracted from like 3 other podcasts, but
Hey.
you know.
But go check us out there.
Yeah, mash, like, and subscribe. All
yes.
of those places. All of
like,
those.
Subscribe, share, favorite, follow, tweet
say
us,
what up.
Comment, say hi. We don't bite hard. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about today. I thought it was going to be a very, very light week because there was going to be no taping because somebody in the Performance Center had the coronavirus and they had to cease everything.
Yep. So they some of the people who weren't wearing masks or weren't allowed to wear masks, which is, of course, debated back and forth, and then you have Bucky Beavertooth, Kevin Dunn telling everyone that you're not a fan if you want to show up to our shows and wear a mask, and he can like go suck on that like really hard. I'm sick and tired of this stuff when it comes to things like taking precautions, like the simple precaution of taking a mask. I'm really, really tired of this shit.
I'm done with.
And I'm not saying I'm not done with masks. I'm done with the idiots saying that this is all a lie. You don't really need to wear a mask. This isn't, and I say this as someone who in the last 2 weeks has started going back to high-risk behavior and going back to the gym and has been to restaurants. All the more reason to take these precautions.
It's getting crazy. And you see so many people out there who are not wearing masks. Like when I went to the restaurant, I didn't wear it.
Well, I mean, I wore it in and then took it off.
Take it off. You have to eat.
Kind of right.
I went with a friend to Red Robin. Hey, sponsor us. Red Robin Burgers with those delicious, amazing fries, all you can eat.
Never ending.
Which I never eat a lot of them. But we went there, and so we were sat down. The table to our left here was empty. The table to our right was empty. The table behind us was empty with signs that says, "Do not sit here."
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was on the table.
Nope.
At Red Robin, they have that little seasoning salt stuff for the fries. It wasn't there. I asked for it, and they brought me a little cup of it, a little condiment cup. Same with salt and pepper. They brought you the disposable salt and pepper, rip open packets like you get at like McDonald's or something. They have taken all these precautions and sitting people so far away from each other, and nothing is on the table for you to touch. It's like, it's weird, but it's nice knowing that they're taking these precautions.
and it's the normal. The new normal we're going to have to get used to for quite a while, at least 6 to 9 months until there's a vaccine that's readily and widely available that everyone can actually afford to get. So maybe another year or two
Yeah.
before that finally gets down there, because that's not going to be cheap when that first comes out, because that's to get that money to big pharma.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. And it should be free. Damn it! I mean, look at how many people have died in this country for it. In this world. Sorry, it's not just this country. In this world.
Oh no, we're doing a pretty good job of keeping the average pretty high. To be
Oh,
honest with
we
you,
are. We are.
and
We are not a bright group of people.
no,
And
no, we are not.
it's getting crazy out there, especially with all of the. I have a feeling this podcast is going to be a lot of political stuff. Not
I
really political, but
I
issues.
I didn't want to say, like, I being when we're recording this podcast and all the things going on while we're recording this podcast, I didn't want to say anything. I don't want to go there. I'd rather not. Um, and then last day and a half or last 2 days have happened in the business, and things got a whole lot got very serious very quickly. That we're not prepared for uh, the level of things that have come out over the last 24 to 48 hours
No.
in the wrestling business that have.
But before we get
So
to
yeah,
that,
before we get there,
there's been so much things that have been changing in this country. And I'm going to say this, and I want people to know I am not a racist person. I have black friends, I have gay friends, I have
this is a really
Asian
bad way to
friends.
start this statement. I just hope you understand this.
Probably. I'm trying to come across sincere, but it's the fact like where they're changing, like Uncle Ben's rice and the Aunt Jemima syrup, and now recently the next recent one was um, Eskimo pies.
Now, here's the thing. Now, do I understand necessarily the reasoning behind the
I
Eskimo
don't get
pie?
the I don't get the reasoning.
That I don't necessarily do, but
The
there's certainly some racist intonations into those first two that we can talk about.
the Aunt Jemima one, I know her great great grandkids or something were coming out saying that they are upset that her legacy is being removed. That his
I mean,
family's coming out and saying that. I'm not trying to
I understand
be
what you're saying,
for it,
but
against it. I'm trying to figure out what the hell.
I'm trying to. Well, this is the and this is what that we've been having conversations about online for a good long while. Is that there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations we have to have starting now that we have put off for decades. And it's our fault as white people, because we have not wanted to have those uncomfortable conversations in order to do the right thing. And now is the time when we're finally like, look, this is it. This is the breaking point. We have got to do this now.
Like, does
So
the Uncle Ben's rice, does that offend anybody besides Spider-Man? I was trying to make a joke out
okay,
of it.
yeah, I know. I say, um, I will say this, so I don't sound like I'm pontificating on some stuff that I do not know enough about the actual background of why the business and brand chose that for their branding and chose that as their name, because it's been that way for forever.
Yeah,
So I don't know how, but just because it's been done that one some way forever doesn't mean it's always been done right.
true. That's true.
And I know how this sounds, especially coming from this face, but I go back to an incorrectly quote used uh, comparison from one of the greatest television shows of all time, Sports Night. Just because it's the way things have always been done doesn't make
Doesn't
them
make
right.
him right. That's true.
I mean, we made black people sit in the back of the bus until one woman said up front and said, "No, we're not gonna. I don't want to do that."
That is true.
So it may, just like we may have looked at these things that seemed just normal before, and when you look into the reasons that they became normal, they may be the uncomfortable reasons that we actually have to go back and have conversations about. So while I can understand your confusion, And I can understand a lot of people's confusion on
What
this.
really threw me for the loop was the today. Like, I don't think I've ever even had one, but the Eskimo pies. Are the Eskimos in like Alaska upset about this?
I don't know. I
Like,
mean, I know I mean, I know the. But I have a feeling we're heading into the same argument that we've had with the Washington racial slurs and the Cleveland Indians, to where the tribe may want to be known as Inuits as their proper term. And I know there's a ton of Inuit tribes, so
yeah,
that's so that may be the area we're going to as a hey, if we're gonna do this, let's take care of it all at once.
like it makes me think. And this is see, I hate. I felt it had to be brought up, even though it's not really a topic of wrestling, but it's kind of go. We're kind of talking both a lot of political, a lot of issues. So I'm like, might as well just bring it up, get it done with.
It's you know,
It's,
there's no way to avoid that. It's a really heavy time.
it is, and like someone put, and I thought it was funny, and it may not be funny, and if it offends you by me saying this, I am truly sorry. Someone mentioned something about Cracker Barrel. Like, are they gonna have to change their name?
What
I'm like, what?
are well? Let's put it this
Like
way:
someone should have like, is that a
if
serious thing? I mean, is that happening too? Like, or is that just a facetious topic you're
that's
trying to throw out there?
I assume that's being facetious,
I'm like,
I assume. I mean, unless there's a logo and a history there.
like the Aunt Jemima stuff. They said they don't know what's gonna happen or when it's gonna happen or what the new name will be. Like, who owns that?
I don't even know who's the actual brand of that is. It sounds like you have a company that well, okay, and this is where my cynicism comes out. You sound like you have a company that sounds like they've realized that that it's the time to sound like we're trying to do the right thing or trying to care. So we'll say something now and figure it out later.
PepsiCo.
Oh, really? Okay.
Aunt Jemima pancake mix debuted 1889. The first ready mix by 1915. It had become one of the most recognized brands in U.S. history and changed U.S. trademark law. Currently owned by the Quaker Oats Company of
Okay.
Chicago, now a subsidiary of PepsiCo. The
Yeah, when
Aunt
you said
Jemima
Pepsi, I'm like,
character,
that's a weird thing to put in their portfolio. But now that I forgot they own Quaker, and that makes total sense for that's the brand for Quaker.
I got
Anyway.
it now. The Aunt Jemima character is based on the enslaved mammy stereotype.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, see.
I'm reading that off of Wikipedia, and if that's wrong on Wikipedia, it's
Well, I
Wikipedia.
mean, I mean, you can take a pill with that. But I mean, that is you're working on stereotypes now. That man, is this a really bad area?
But I was trying to. So that's what Wikipedia says when I said who owns Aunt Jemima products. That's what we got. So that being said about all that, kind of goes into the hand of not really just like that, but another big topic. Like who was the big director that got in trouble for all this stuff?
Harvey
Harvey
Weinstein.
Weinstein. This kind of goes. This is kind of in that
Yes.
Harvey Weinstein kind of area.
Sorry, folks. It's gonna be a little while before we get into the sunshine and butterflies of the business. Not,
Is
not
there
gonna
any
happen.
sunshine butterflies lately? I don't really think so. It's been
Uh, I mean, again, in the whole. Anyway, not recently.
so. What start? I mean, a couple was it Thursday? Is all started? Was it Friday?
I think it started on Twitter on Thursday, and I think it goes. I can go be traced to one or two sources. That started, as they said, speaking out, and then stories just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming.
Um,
If
even
you're
some AEW superstars are in this issue,
some WWE superstars, if you're unfamiliar with the story and you haven't been following the hashtag speaking out on Twitter, is that
and
um,
I suck at Twitter, and I know I really suck with Twitter. Like I rarely ever tweet. I do a lot of retweeting, but trying to like search this stuff, I get so like sidetracked by it. It's kind of hard for me to follow along, but there was just so much of it. There was so much under that hashtag.
Right, and it was sort of it was like I said, I believe it was started out by one or two specific accounts, and then a lot of stories of physical and sexual abuse in the wrestling industry, coming out from a lot of the female workers. There was a disturbing amount of names of accusations from the scene in the United Kingdom. So far to the point that police in the UK are taking a look at some of these allegations that have come to light within the last 24 to 48 hours. There's been names of basically around the people around the world who work in wrestling, and a lot of names have been mentioned. And
Yeah,
it's kind of hard.
like one of them being AEW star Jimmy Havoc. AEW
Right.
putting out there. We wish Jimmy Havoc all the best as he receives treatment and counseling in an effort to overcome the mental health and substance abuse challenges in his life. They are aware of various reports related to Jimmy. They're evaluating his status with the company and will address it when he has successfully completed his rehabilitation.
And that's kind of been known that he's had these issues when it comes to mental health and drugs. So that part didn't surprise
Yeah.
me, but the fact that he was named in this list of people. Um, Jack Gallagher was released from his WWE contract. I know a lot of people wondering whether or not he was even still working for them. He was released, and the timing sounds rather the timeline there lines up.
Check your audio.
I don't know. Yeah,
Okay,
I got you.
You're good.
The timeline matches up. Apparently, I'm not allowed to look at any other web pages while I'm talking to you, so I'll have to do this from memory. So
I got it up here. If you want to tell me something, I can pull it up.
um, the I don't know how to accurately describe, because I read a lot. I just kept reading, and I don't know how to accurately describe how sickening all these accusations that came out are. I mean, we're a stupid wrestling podcast. We're fans of a silly-ish form of entertainment that somehow survives in this day and age. And we've always kind of idealized I don't know how else to put it. Always kind of idealized the business, or kind of held it up, and those who work on it on a bit of a different level, even knowing that it's a business full of carny trash and everyone admits it. That's what the base is from. You kind of want to think better, that these people you see on television and kind of have some level of attachment to are better than this. And it is, I don't want to say it's disturbing when you say human, because this is not just, I made a mistake and fell off a pedestal.
Yeah.
This is just disturbing behavior.
One of the bigger names, Matt Riddle, being accused. Candy Cartwright, an independent wrestler, accused WWE's Matt Riddle of pressuring her into performing sex acts while in a van with other wrestlers in 2018. Riddle, in a Twitter direct message to a British YouTuber whom he had previously been interviewed by, denied the allegations and accused Cartwright of harassing him. Riddle said his lawyer and WWE were exploring the possibility of legal action against Cartwright. WWE's statement on the allegations against Riddle was identical to the one issued about Devlin. One of the thing is that she said in a picture of the messages that he asked her to hop on his junk and let's see where to go. She said that she didn't want to, and I guess he grabbed her by the throat and said, "What if I make you?" And so instead, she performed oral, hoping somebody would wake up because the other wrestlers that were in the vehicle with them were all asleep. I mean, this stuff is just there's no excuse for it.
Fucking horrifying is what it is.
It's awful. Jim Cornette and his wife were also named, accused of acting inappropriately with wrestlers.
That's a whole. If you have a chance to read that story, that is a whole other ball of wax in that. And apparently, if you follow the trail that like Joey Janela tried to tell us this like 3 months ago, and when he got into a Twitter war with Jim, and now that all this stuff is coming out, like
It looks like they had to perform acts with Stacy, which would have been Jim Cornette's wife, while
yeah,
Jim Cornette watched.
I mean,
Whew.
it's a like I said, there's no. You don't even. It's kind of one of those. I hate to sound so cynical, but it almost the fact that this is coming out as it is, it almost doesn't surprise me because in the back of your head, you kind of thought at some point this industry will have its Me Too moment as well. There's
Mm.
no way that there is absolutely no way that the influx of female performers in the business over the last 15 to 20 years did not face some kind of adversity thanks to the old boys club that wrestling has always been. There's no way. And clearly we're right. And it's not even the old boys club, which is the worst part. It's not even the old boys club. It's these douchebags we've gotten in the last several years as well.
Yeah.
It's an institutional thing. It just continues the topic of conversation from the top. It's an institutional mindset that we've been that's just been ingrained.
But what you were telling me, a lot of it is in the UK, out of NXT UK, right?
Well, there's a lot of names from the NX from well, there's names from NXT, like Jordan Devlin. Um, there's a lot of names just in general from the UK scene,
Like this,
trainers, promoters, other wrestlers. Was it David Starr,
yeah, this
an
one here, it
American?
says the majority of wrestlers being accused of misconduct by women using the hashtag Speak Out hashtag work in the UK. On Wednesday, prominent independent wrestler David Starr, real name Max Barsky, an American who was a fixture in the British wrestling scene, was accused of sexual abuse by a woman he had been in a relationship with. Several promotions cut ties with Starr after the allegations. There is a lot of this going on.
So I mean I don't know if that's
If
the
it's true,
atmosphere,
like the
right?
thing
I mean,
is, all of this, unless there is like some kind of physical proof, it's a lot of hearsay. He says, she says, kind of thing. But it's also like you if she comes up to you and says that he did this, and you're like, you ask him and he says no, and you go with what he says. It's what's more. It's a catch-22 kind of thing. It's you don't
well,
know.
right. It's because that attitude is you have to have the attitude that all of these accusations, all of these victims have the right to be heard and have their day of investigation and believed
Yeah.
that they're credible until proven otherwise. Um, so
So I mean,
that'll be tough. I mean, a lot of this is I don't know. It's so I don't know where to. It's legit. I don't know where do we go from here? Like, how do
we
you
we
break
don't.
down this? Like I said, this is systemic almost in the UK.
Basically, all we're gonna do, we're just gonna talk about. There's nothing that we like. I know you're not saying what can we do, but
The royal we.
yeah, I don't know.
Like, what fixes it? How does this fit? I mean, all these people who have done horrible things or are accused of doing horrible things will most likely uh, lose out on their lose jobs, lose out in the public face. Well, if for example, if this comes through and all this stuff on Matt Riddle is true, he has to be let go. You've already let somebody go based on allegations, unless
And the man just had his big debut over on SmackDown, beating AJ Styles.
the AJ Styles, and a lot of people were kind of like, "Wait a minute, you left that in," and at the same time, like, well, it was pre-taped, and this was like 24 hours. I understand the logistics of it, of not necessarily
Having time to cut it out and try to find
having a
filler
exactly
where they
taking out
couldn't.
entire multiple segments on the network television show.
If they could have had somebody in there to fill it, to like, but they couldn't record anything because everything was closed down because of someone having coronavirus. They
Yeah,
were
about
in
that.
a situation where they were stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Right, right. And in this case, this is actually one of the rare times, I say rare times, but I would defend the company on this being kind of stuck
Yeah.
because of this. Is you go to tape and send this to a network and don't know all these things. So who knows how much longer that'll go on.
They already pissed off Fox
Yeah, we'll talk
last
about
week.
that in a little bit. We'll talk about that
Yeah.
that one in a little bit, definitely. Same thing with I can't imagine that Jordan Devlin is much longer for this company. He was already had backstage heat for, well, sort of, for not being able to come back to the U.S. Or not, and now he's listed in these. The company statement basically was summed up that if our talent we're following and we're investigating if our talent is accused of these things, we will immediately suspend them if they are arrested, and fire them if they're convicted, unless we're presented indisputable proof of these things. Then we have the power to fine, suspend, or fire as need be. And I have a feeling that's why they were so quick to pull the trigger on Gallagher's release. You can't put that statement out and then just fire a guy. Like, you're gonna say one thing and then come up with the other thing. That tells me logic would follow that you had that proof in the allegations that came against him, and that's when you decided to let him go.
Yeah. Which sucks. I mean, well, but he wasn't doing anything.
Well, I mean, yeah, he wasn't doing anything with from a television standpoint. He was, and 205 Live for whatever that was worth. Lisa makes another interesting point. That Wrestle Talk has some interesting questions to answer with their hiring Adam Blompeed within the last several months, and his history that goes back last couple of years. And I don't feel educated enough on his situation to
Go
comment
into
on
it.
that one, because of he stepped away for a good long time before coming back to the internet wrestling community, and while there were allegations leveled against him, but I don't feel
Who was that again?
Adam Blompeed now at Wrestle Talk, at What Culture Forever,
Gotcha.
when they started doing a wrestling channel.
Because another one
So,
in the UK was Travis Banks.
mhm.
They both been suspended. Him and Devlin, indefinitely.
Yeah. So I don't think that either of them were probably long for the company.
No.
The thing to watch over the next it, from a WWE standpoint, the thing to watch will be what they do with Matt Riddle going forward. I don't believe he's going to be at this week's tapings come Wednesday. I don't see how you put him back on a network television. I don't see how Fox allows anything with him right now
No.
on their airwaves until this whole thing
Until it's
gets
proven
resolved.
not true.
Until one of these things gets resolved. I don't see how you do anything with that. You're certainly not. Obviously, you've suspended everybody or gotten rid of everyone on your roster. It's going to be very interesting when the UK allows shows again to see how these promotions react and what they do. what they do with this list of workers, because it wasn't all wrestlers. Some of these were trainers who were taking advantage of their students, and or promoters who were taking advantage of the power they had. And even more so, if you read it, kept going, we're not just female wrestlers. There were male wrestlers um, who also have stories in this. So
Oh, Jesus.
there's a ton there. Yeah, Devlin was stripped of the cruiserweight title, but I thought that was way ahead. That was long before this. That was all had to do with the COVID issue and not being able to get back to the U.S. I didn't think. I mean,
Oh.
unless the company had been sitting on this stuff for several weeks, like they knew this was coming, and that was preemptive with him. But man, that looks so bad. If that's the case, that's
Yeah,
even worse.
isn't that why they just had that big cruiserweight like tournament?
But basically, why Drake Maverick has a job again? Yeah.
Yeah. Which what I read was he was already he was fired, but they decided to turn it into a storyline.
Yeah, which is also what pissed some people off who were also fired.
Yeah.
When
Some
hey, not
people
everyone got their chance.
some people got put in a storyline and got their job back. Some people just got called to use their pool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jesus. Yeah.
Woo woo woo. You know it. But I mean, all in all, this is a really shitty situation that's going on.
Yeah. There's no way. I mean, like I said, I don't know where we go from here, because it's one of those. How do you change this environment?
Yeah, and we hear those words that we hear at the finisher. We don't condone anything like that. We are not.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say that one.
I know we have to say it, but it's kind of probably should say it that we don't condone any of that kind of stuff. We are not for anything like that. I mean, it's awful. God awful.
Yeah. So
That was a good half hour on some political stuff. I think we can kind of
yeah, I was gonna say they're just. I mean, like I said, they just come to a point. It's I don't know. You have to follow and see how these things turn out, and hopefully those what had done terrible things will the victims here will be able to get some level of justice. And
yeah.
I don't know what outside of that. I don't know what else we can hope for.
If you know what, as more comes along, we'll bring it back up. If by next week we still have more stuff,
Yeah,
we'll
there's
come
no
back
way
into this. It's not going to end
yeah, the story isn't going away,
today.
so we'll keep everyone updated as well. Also, as anything breaks, we'll obviously be watching our Facebook page,
Facebook,
uh,
Twitter, all that hoopla.
and we'll be keeping you informed there. So,
Perfect.
um,
On
now you
other
want to
news,
switch to actual wrestling here?
let's switch to actual wrestling. You think? Let's see. Which one was it? Which one? Yeah, click, click, click. Oh, our boy, Mister 9 Years, Edge.
Yeah, let's. I mean,
Poor
we can go
guy.
to actual in-ring stuff, and
Yeah,
to start
let's
off with
let's get
that
to that.
from Backlash. If you did not catch our live reactions to Backlash last Sunday, it's up there on Facebook. It's like 3.5 hours long. I wouldn't. I mean,
It's basically
if,
watch it when it's
yeah,
live because
yeah, that's what we do. If you really want to go ahead and go back and listen to us do it, if you're not there live, you should be. We're there for almost every pay-per-view. Every big event's going to be there. We're going to do live reaction. But yeah, so in the middle of the greatest wrestling match ever, poor Edge tore his tricep and had to undergo surgery.
and the sucky part is he tore it not on the actual match. It was on a retake.
Yep. So one of those things that if they hadn't been trying to add these cinematic things, these cinematic angles to it, he would have been there. He would have been there on Monday to continue this. He would be there, available for SummerSlam in a couple of months. But nope, we had to have that really cool look of the lockup from right underneath.
God, it was awful. I mean, it was cool, but it was so stupid. There was no need for it.
That's let's clear the air on those reactions. Is that the match itself was very good.
Yeah.
Am I willing to go so far as calling it the greatest wrestling match ever? No,
No.
almost on the hype alone, you're never going to be able to do that. Um, and to me, um, the uh, just putting that hype out there already prejudices it. A lot of people go, "Oh, there's no way you can live up to it," and not to mention that they actually did a lot of the bits from other of the greatest wrestling matches of all time, and worked them in there. And some people say it would be like a love letter to the. I mean, like how they stole like 9 or 10 different people's finishers and kept kicking out of them. A love letter to professional wrestling. I mean,
Eddie
maybe.
Guerrero's
Yeah, they got the three
Three
amigos in there.
Amigos.
There's a couple. There's a rock bottom. We got a stunner. There's a. I mean, at a certain point, it's also kind of like how many finishers are you going to possibly kick out of, including each other's?
Yeah.
How many RKO's did Edge kick out of? How many
Quite a few.
spears did Randy get right up from? So while a very good match, it had its flaws, but I still enjoyed it. It
And
did not feel like it had gone as long as it had. The extra, I mean, the all the enhanced stuff wasn't needed. I personally enjoyed the tribute to the Fink because they really hadn't had a chance to do anything outside of, the tribute video
I
and Bell Salute.
really liked Fink introing it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a class act, classy, just awesome. Um,
There's some people that found it tasteless. I disagree, but that's just me.
I do too. Um, one thing that we never could really tell, I really wasn't sure, was Orton busted open? Was it a blood capsule? Did he blade? What was that? Because it looked like it healed. It looked like it came back, but look, it healed.
Yeah, because it looked like it was gone. There was for a little bit. It looked like there was a cut, but then like it
You
got
know what it
completely
looked like to
off.
me? Shitty continuity errors from
Yeah,
refilming.
because of where it ended up in the match and how quickly,
It
like,
disappeared.
right, he took the DDT and went from one shot and he was completely clean to another shot and he was just like completely wide open in one side and stuff and went like that. It was an immediate jump cut, which, oh my god, by the way, holy shit, calm down in the truck when it comes to jump cuts. Like, I thought I was gonna have a seizure with how many times we were changing in some of like. If we were playing a drinking game for unnecessary drunk cuts or jump cuts, I would still be drunk.
I wish I could do jump cuts on here, but I can't.
That's good.
If you flash me, Star Wipe. But all in all, like you're right, it was a good match. Like you said, best wrestling match ever.
No, but
No,
good one. And then out of it, which I don't know if this was the plan or this was the emergency oh shit backup plan.
I'm going. It was emergency.
I think it was emergency. Captain Charisma has
Christian!
returned. And was in ring for the first time in several years, and may in fact be a part of Extreme Rules now.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I could absolutely see him coming back in a match, maybe not Extreme Rules, maybe down the line, if they really wanted to. Especially now that they have an injury, this angle could go all the way to Survivor Series or later. Honestly,
I could. Because you also had help from the wheeling, dealing, kiss stealing, jet flying, limousine riding, son of a gun.
Right.
Woo! Ric Flair, low
nowhere.
blowing Christian out of nowhere.
Well, I guess evolution continues. Evolution is a mystery, yet it continues on and on and on.
Evolution is a mystery.
So, which is another thing. Like, I don't know if that means Rick is back or Rick was just kind of like in the neighborhood, so they asked him to do a cameo.
Rick will be back on Monday.
He'll be back in for a segment on Monday, so he may be doing some stuff, part-time stuff.
He'll be back on Monday. He just signed another like lifetime deal or something. He'll be back. He's what, 95? He'll be back on Monday to declare Randy Orton the best wrestler of all time.
Don't do that. Well,
Rick, you're diminishing your own light there, buddy.
Well, and then I'm pretty sure you've already declared, like, for a regular basis for like 5 years, you declared Triple H the greatest wrestler of all time every single week on Raw.
Every single. Sorry.
Um, we already have enough flares in the WWE. Well, that might be a thing. So if Rick
Oh,
just kind
okay.
of comes and goes, I'm okay with it. Just like a lot of the Legends deals, a cameo here or there, a week or two angle, show up for a big, as part of a big pay per view, and then take off like Mick Foley has done numerous times since coming back into the fold.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, as long as he's not here permanently, I think we're okay.
When is Fighter Fest?
The first half is July 1st. Is going to air over 2 episodes of Dynamite, the 1st and the 8th. And we only have 5 things announced, so I don't know. We're going to see how this comes to be over the next week or two to see if they actually are going to announce a full card for both episodes of Dynamite, or they're just going to highlight the big matches and then we'll fill in from there. So we'll have to see how that works, but it'll be a 2-week process.
I
In,
just saw
in
Lisa's
total
comment
defense. Oh yeah, no,
because I was scrolled up and I was like, "Oh, we're not getting any comments," but then you just had to scroll down.
I responded. That's why when we go back there, that's why she asked if we were going to live stream during Fighter Fest. I'm like,
We
okay,
might be able to. I have an idea.
all right then. We'll see how well this works.
We'll see. I got to talk to Dan about it, but we may do it. Who knows? We'll see what
Um,
happens.
we'll see what happens. I don't know of a bar that I can go to on Wednesday nights and watch this right now. Actually, probably any bar at this point. If I just go sit and have a drink, and then just do Zoom on my phone, we'll see. But I think it'll be weird just to see a guy at the end of the bar watching wrestling and talking to his phone energetically. It'll be very strange.
But we'll see.
Well, we could, yeah. We'll talk. We'll get there. We'll figure it out.
So yeah, so Edge greatest wrestling match. Both of us agree. Not really, not the greatest wrestling
No,
match, but
not the greatest
a good match.
Good match.
But
Definitely.
still,
It's one of those that would go on my recommendation. She's like, it's like she's looking at the sheet. She's already up on stuff that's coming up here. So
yeah. Hey, Lisa, do you want to play the show, or you just want to sit there and listen? Dang it!
I can send you the rundown if you want.
Would you like our rundown every week? Yes, we have a rundown. Dan is a glorious producer guy.
Well, I have some experience here, and I also had a template or two to work with. So
I don't know what you did before this. I mean, you worked in radio or something. I mean,
that's what they tell me, but yeah. Anyway,
so
let's go ahead and keep going so we can get to what she was just talking about.
Yeah. So next on the list, we got Kevin Owens,
who was at the last set of tapings and was on Raw on Monday, but has already said he will not show back up this week for because hey, somebody tested positive for the virus. Someone in his wife's family has already died from the virus. They are very
I'm protecting me and my family.
Yeah, they are very wary of him working in an environment where the virus was there. So
exactly.
Do not blame him. 100 P behind Kevin Owens. I guess he lives in the area too. He lives around the Orlando area, so it's not like has issues getting in and out of the country. He just doesn't want to be where the virus was. Fucking hey, Kevin, stay the fuck home. I'm with you, 100%.
I'm right there behind him. His wife's grandfather passed away from COVID-19 the past couple of weeks.
I knew she had relevant. I couldn't remember which one.
Why risk giving it to someone else? Like, I don't know if her grandmother's alive and around. Why risk her catching it now?
Right.
You know, then, oh, look, another old person died because of COVID. That's not what we want.
Well, like you said, why take the risk of infecting your family when...
No one should take the risk. You know, Monday night, don't air anything.
Well, I believe they contractually have to air.
Air like a highlight. I mean, was it like Tuesday or something? Wednesday? Whenever they do back, when are they doing that show on with Renee Young and CM Punk?
I don't know. I don't know if Punk is even still on
He
or on a
is.
constant basis. Paige, I think, is on.
Yeah, so why not? Because they're
Um,
doing 2008 Royal Rumble. They're airing that before that. Why air
okay.
something like that? You have a 3 hour window to air a pay per view, a full length pay per view.
I mean, I get what you're saying. At the same time, tell that to USA. Tell that to Fox.
That's true.
They're already in a bad place, scrambling.
They are like they're not in a good place with Fox right now. Fox is not happy with WWE and the SmackDown brand for that urine attack on Sheamus.
No, they were rather pissed off about the show being
The hell
pissed
they
on,
say is very pissed off and pissed on.
and that's how we knew about the FCC. That was how they. We can and cannot say. The thing about it is, they even went. Like, it wasn't just like like they were pissed off enough
Yeah.
that they forced they had WWE cut to a break in the West Coast airing of SmackDown right before he threw the thing. So it looked really odd why they cut to a commercial break. So
So yeah, I was to say they cut that part out for the West Coast because they were so pissed
um, it, it, okay. Look,
because it
here's
goes
why.
against their standards.
Well, here's why I'm okay with Fox being pissed and going, okay, do I want the WWE to push things towards a less cartoony and more realistic and adult programming? Absolutely. That's what made me a fan back in the 90s, and that's why I'm still here. Absolutely. I understand Fox's point of view because of the FCC implications. The last thing they want to do right now is walk a fine enough line to get the government's attention towards a wrestling angle, which was actually kind of dumb in
Retrospect.
in retrospect. And if you really want to go so far as
And
tasteless stuff as it is, so
they had the funniest part is they had everyone chanting. You got pissed on. They kept trying to bleep it.
they had to.
I
That
know,
that
and but
you had to.
I think because it was so quick and fast, one of them got through.
That also might have been why the something else there. So they're obviously going to have to speak with their network about the things that they know they can and cannot do.
Oh,
So the last thing I had before we get to our list, because I mean we're going way over time here, but what the hell?
that's fine.
It was a week we had to. So the last thing I had was watching a video, and I may not even added it to the sheet that I gave to you. So here's all this
No,
whole
it's
thing.
not.
That in the process of everything going wrong on Monday and Friday nights, NXT is still doing pretty well and has now had NXT Commissioner William Regal has made some very interesting matches for the next couple of weeks,
And I
and
guess
I cannot wait to see how these whole things come out.
someone is behind all of it and would be somebody that we never would have thought. Vinnie Mac. Vinnie
Maybe.
Mac is taking a
Well,
highly intriguing stand, like highly interested in the NXT brand.
and at first my initial reaction was, "Shit, it's going to hell. This brand is done now." Like this brand is going to be, but it might also be he recognizes that the one that's been the strongest right now, at least from a wrestling point of view, not that he's ever cared about that, but the one that's going through right now that's keeping its loyal fans is NXT.
And if he's the one who made up what we're about ready to talk about, I'm surprised.
Me too. We shall see. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know about the creative team honestly for NXT. How involved Hunter actually is. If it still is his, like he's in charge of the brand, it's still his, and that's who handles all the creative, or if there's other members of the creative team who have input. I don't know.
Yeah, I think our comments are a little behind because Lisa just put, and now it's getting worse in Florida now.
Well, yeah, because like there's a delay on Facebook,
Yeah,
so they're
so
not
there's a pretty
watching.
big delay. So yeah, I get that coronavirus is getting worse in Florida, and
Yep.
it's smart for him not to be going anywhere and not to be going to be in that area. I mean, he's a smart man. But
Yep.
going back to NXT, announced a triple threat match for the North American title with Keith Lee putting the title on line against Roderick Strong and Finn Balor. That will be
And
a good match.
And the caveat to that as well is because in the promo leading into this, which was great, with all three of these guys made this comment that they want to take the North American. Not no, it's not Roddy. It's not Roddy. It's Johnny. It's Johnny Wrestling. That was
Johnny Wrestling.
it is Gargano. It'll be Lee Balor Gargano for the U.S. for the North American title, because then all three men made it clear that they intend to take the U.S. title or the North American title, and then take Adam Cole's NXT Championship. So the winner of this Wednesday's match will face Adam Cole for that belt on July 8th.
Baby.
Champion versus champion match. No, I don't. So he may be Adam Champ, not Adam Two Belts.
Adam Champ. I like Adam Champ. I like that. And please, can we just get Bailey and Sasha just to punch somebody, like punch one each other or something?
They will. I don't know what it is. They will not pull the trigger on their feud, and then just let it go as long as they can.
They're stretching it out because again this week, Bailey throwing Sasha into a match without Sasha knowing. You know, what's the point of that? Just make them fight.
Like I said, they've been. I believe it when I finally see it, because it's been months and months and months.
All right,
it's been at least a year, actually, hasn't it?
I think so.
So it could be. They could have actually discovered, of the one time they actually discover how to get something to slow burn.
True. All right, now let's get to our top five. Last week we had top five indie Japanese matches.
Okay, last week I
was getting there. Finish what I'm saying, you bearded bitch.
Hey, I'm the one that put the work in. I damn sure deserve to.
I was getting there, and I was gonna say last week we did indie/Japanese matches, the top five favorite. I was not too well knowing of that, or had time to actually look and watch a bunch of indie and Japanese matches. But the man over here did amazingly with it. We drew for this week's, and this week's was the top 5 worst Hell in a Cell match.
Yep.
And I think we both have 5. Dan may have 1 or 2 honorable mentions. I never really do honorable mentions.
Yeah, I do. I have a couple.
So let's get into our top 5. All right, Dan, what is your number? Good music. I gotta find music for this. I'll figure that out. Your number 5.
I always wait because I don't know if you have anything on that side.
We may have some next week. I don't know.
You never know.
Drum roll or something. What is your number 5?
My number 5. Let me go ahead before I say this, and lay out the main theme of my top 5 list, which is it did not need to be in the cell. So to start that, number 5 goes back to Hell in a Cell 2016 on October 30th that year, when Roman Reigns defended the United States Championship against Rusev. There wasn't enough build up to warrant this cell match. I mean, the match itself was all right for what it was, but because of when and where it took place, it was going to go over like a fart in church. Like by the end of 2016, more often than not, WWE crowds had enough of Reigns pushed down their throat and crapped all over everything he did. Oh yeah, and this was the first of 3 cell matches on that night. Thankfully, the historic moment of the main event of the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match dulls this one in the memory banks.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah. Your number 5.
My number 5?
The more identical makes this whole makes the blog post later on tonight so much less work for me. So yeah, what's your
number 5? Happened in 2016 as well. It was in Boston, Massachusetts. And it was on October 30th.
What a weird coincidence.
As Roman Reigns took on Rusev for the United States Championship in Hell in a Cell. So yeah, there's that. That happened.
I was saying, anything you wanted to add to that?
No.
Interestingly enough, the one and only time a secondary title was contested for Indie Hell in a Cell.
Oh,
And since that main event that I had mentioned actually involved for the participants, I can go back to a comment which I'm getting to just slowly. That apparently they were going to pull the trigger this summer, and the whole blow up was going to happen at SummerSlam because it was supposed to be in Boston, Sasha's hometown. So this is why this is being teased out to us for months upon months upon months, is because they have no blow off site now. They don't know when they go back to Boston. So we may be stuck with this for the rest of the year.
damn it. All right. Son of a bitch.
Yep.
Would you do number 4? Or you go to my number 4?
Why don't you keep it? Let me see what your number 4 is. And
My
see
number
where I got
4
Sure. Yeah.
is the, let's see, Hell in a Cell, October 2nd, 2011 in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay.
John Cena, CM Punk, Alberto Del Rio. Cena was the champion for the WWE Championship.
No. Perish the thought.
No. My reasoning is I never really was an Alberto Doritos, Alberto Del Rio fan.
Well, in hindsight, it turns out you're fine with that because he turned out to also be a horrible human being. So you're fine
Exactly.
with it.
And John Cena,
Big Match John.
Big Match John. As a man, he's a great man.
Sure.
He's done a lot of good stuff. I mean, just giving to, I forget. Shoot, what's the guy who just died?
He I say he after had donated $1 million to Black Lives Matter charities after George Floyd's death.
Oh, was it that one? Oh, I forgot he did that too. I was talking about the Crime Time.
Oh, yeah,
Anonymously donated money, but he put a tag in there that everyone figured out who it was.
Right.
As a person, I think he's a outstanding man. As a wrestler, he's okay.
Especially 2011 when he was literally in the middle of Big Match John, and everyone sacrificed their careers to Super Cena, and inadvertently was the reason I stopped watching the wrestling for a period of time because I was really tired of Big Match John.
There you go. What's your number 4?
My number 4 takes us all the way back, ready, to 2004.
2004.
2004, to just down the road a little bit here, at Bad Blood when Shawn Michaels took on Triple H. And I have a very unique take on this one because I was there live and in living color inside Nation Arena down in Columbus. And let me tell you, I remember being stoked out of my mind to see a Hell in a Cell match live.
I hate you.
But honestly, I watched most of it up on the Titantron, up on the video, because it is honest. It is not the greatest for the live audience, really, obviously, because of the structure.
Yeah.
The match itself, Shawn Michaels Triple H had been running for 2 years at that point, so they've gone on it so many times in so many different types of matches. It was only natural that eventually it would end up in the cell. But the thing about this match, it went 47 minutes. An ass-numbing 47 minutes. Nothing makes me think of the intense action of a Hell in the Cell match like rest holds, and we got a ton of those. And that's kind of why the good matches usually don't go more than 20 minutes, because it's really hard to keep up the intensity of a match like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the reviews I've read about this match call it self-indulgent, and I think that's a perfect description. But man, 47 goddamn minutes. Yeah, you could have cut that match in half, and it would have been so much better.
So why don't you go ahead and continue with your number 3?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Sorry, I get you back and forth with 2 and 2.
I like what you think. Number 3 is a WWE Championship match all the way back on October 28th of 2012, ironically enough, at the pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell. And CM Punk defended against Ryback. So let me also...
I almost used that one. I almost used it.
Let me put up theme number 2 on my list here. Screwy finishes. Yet another match that didn't need to happen inside Hell in a Cell. It wandered through 11 minutes of meh before Ryback got set up for the win, only to be screwed by a corrupt ref, Brad Maddox, who... Yeah, never mind. Punched Ryback in the dick and then fast counted him so Punk could leave with his title reign intact. I mean, it was a decent kind of weaponry match. So, it was a hardcore match, but it could have been fine just as a hardcore match. Put it all in the cell, and having the ref screw somebody and a messed up a fast count pinfall takes away all meanings from the idea of a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. Where'd my sheet go? There it goes. All right. That was your number 3. My number 3.
Your number 3.
D-Generation X, Sean and mine Trip, versus both the McMahons and Big Show.
Yeah.
That was a bloody match. Yeah. That was at Unforgiven, September 17th, 2006.
Yeah.
In Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I don't know why I talk like that. Ending with Triple H and Shawn, shoving Vince's face into Big Show's bare butt.
Yeah.
Big Show, you have been the butt of jokes for that company, literally.
Yeah.
And just the fact that angle, and they did that's why they're number 3 on my list.
Yeah, that happened. That was real.
Yeah. So my number 2, I guess.
Your number 2. Yep.
Is June 15th, 2003, Houston, Texas. Bad Blood. Triple H, Kevin Nash.
Didn't Kevin tear his quad in that?
He tore his quad in that match, yes. And I never thought why, like, this is back in 2003. Why was he even still doing anything? And then he even came back again, about 8 years ago.
He was still hanging around, which is weird. He was still hanging around after they tried to bring in the NWO, and then the crowd reaction to Hogan really didn't allow that. So I think they just needed something. But it was more than a year after the NWO thing, and I think it was even after they tried to redo the NWO with Shawn Michaels in it, and that didn't work at all. And the only notable thing about the NWWEO would have been the one skit where Goldust was where Goldust was the crocodile hunter as he was feuding with X-Pac, and wanders into the NWO locker room to find the rare wet-haired grease rat. But watch out, because they tend to suck. And then throws a plastic gator at him and takes off as X-Pac goes running after him. And you just see Show in the background, asleep, engulfing a couch. And he just starts humming Cheeseburgers in Paradise to himself underneath the sleep mask. That was all that whole NWO Part 3 attempt to revive it was really worth it, in my opinion.
No, I have to find that part. Was that my number 2?
That was your number 2.
That was my number 2.
Completely derailed by Dustin Rhodes as the crocodile.
All right. Your number...
And number 2.
Your number 3.
I gave you my number 3. Punk and Ryback.
Oh, okay.
You started the idea of going back and forth.
That's
you
right.
Gotta hang with me.
That's right.
Try to keep up.
Shut up, Richard.
My number 2 takes us all the way even farther back. Nope, lost it. All the way back to March 28th of 1999 to WrestleMania 15, The Undertaker and the Big Boss Man. It is safe to say that this match, mediocre at best, there's a reason this one is not featured in any of the retrospectives of the streak. Uh, like it's right up there with his match with Jake Roberts at Mania 8 for worst. Oh, hey, there's an idea for a list. Anyway, a match that was really driven to this place on my list with a good old fashioned hanging. Yeah, we all like to
What?
conveniently forget that the Brood descended from the rafters to the roof of the cell, kicked the roof open, fed a noose down to the Undertaker, where he proceeded to hook it to Boss Man's gear and simulate hanging him in front of God in Philadelphia. Are you not familiar with this?
I don't really remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the feud, but I don't remember that part.
Yeah, that's how that whole thing. That's how that match ended. Is with Bossman twitching as if he were being hung right there in the middle of the arena. And look, I get it. I know it was the Attitude Era, and at that point even then we were kind of desensitized to some really tasteless angles. But God, that one took the cake. Well, okay, that one or Taker crucifying Stone Cold on Raw. One of those two. One of those
Or
two.
Stephanie. Did he do Saving Stephanie?
Now she was kind of on the altar, but Stone Cold actually got raised up in the arena and hung on his symbol.
All right, your honorable mentions.
I do have a couple honorable mentions.
Do your honorable mentions? I'll do my honorable mentions, and then we'll do our number ones.
Cool. So my honorable mentions start with DX versus McMahon in the Big Show again.
See, we still have some of the same on the list, which really shows you.
Shows bare ass. That's all I got to go there. I also have the Undertaker. I feel so bad. Undertaker shows up a couple different times, and the origination of this match. Undertaker and Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 32. That one spot match that didn't need to happen at all, let alone in a cell. It was just another excuse for Shane to live out his death wish in front of the world. Hell in a Cell 2010, where Kane and the Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. A piece of the long history of these two that we can all just agree to forget. And then Randy Orton and Sheamus at Hell in the Cell, I think 2009. I cared so little I couldn't even find the date for it. It was that boring.
Minor mentions: Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon, because screw Shane McMahon. My other honorable mention: Batista versus The Undertaker, because screw Batista.
Yeah.
Not a big Batista fan. Now, I have a feeling, I have a strong inkling that both of our number ones are going to be the same.
Possible. I think it's highly possible. And no matter what you say right here, I still, because I was just rolling, I wrote a lot.
What we're going to do is we're both just going to say the year.
Okay.
On 3, and then you can go ahead if it's not the same.
Okay.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. 2019.
19, yeah. When I pulled this and I said I know what number one's going to be, you looked at me kind of confused last week.
And then I knew what it was. Like after I was done that evening, I'm like, "That's it," and I wrote it down.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it. That was Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. The Fiend. Oh, we got to talk about that when we're done with this, too. Let's talk about The Fiend when we're done with this. Sorry. A little sidetrack on that. Holy shit. So, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend versus Seth Rollins. That ending in a no DQ was the dumbest damn thing ever. What the blue hell? October, whatever. Somewhere in October, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
September. My apologies. September. It's November 15th. What the hell? That was god-awful booking, and they heard about it.
Yes. I mean, the hilarious part about the end of that match and the arena angrily chanting AEW at the wrestlers, that should tell you exactly what you need to know.
Yeah.
There hasn't been that much. I haven't heard that much anger out of the crowd since. I know
since Sean screwed Brett.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Well, as I say, every single time Earl Hebner goes to the city of Montreal. So, you want me to go ahead and read everything I wrote here?
Go ahead and read everything you wrote. I knew I didn't even write anything because I knew, or I didn't even put what my description would be because I knew I knew it.
You knew
Everything,
this was going to be a thing.
everything that it was going to be the exact same thing. Did I know our number fives be exact same? No, not at all. Did I
No,
know our
that was
number 4, 3, 2? No, but I knew number 1 would be the dead on bringer exact same thing. Dan, go ahead.
so. I think it's safe to say the last time the sell was lowered was bad enough to question whether or not the company should even have another one at all. I'm willing to say that, like that was, they screwed up so bad. I'm willing to say it may be time to retire it.
Oh,
First and foremost, I'm not sure my eyes have recovered from all the red lighting, which was a horrible choice. I don't
what
get
the
it. I
hell's
mean,
idea was that?
I don't know whose idea was it, and I don't know who said yes to that. But yes, let's flood the thing with like, did you learn nothing from the Virtual Boy? Then we get the worst of all finishes in a cell match because it was too violent. It is a fucking Hell in a Cell match.
It's
That
supposed to
is
be
the
violent.
point. The cell is supposed to be the ultimate battleground in the company. In theory, the place where a fight goes, where it needs to be one-on-one and contained, and the only way to settle the things is for the combatants to do everything they can to finally put their mortal enemy away. But one sledgy shot so sickened the referee that he called the match off instead of, handing Seth a win by TKO, which is how it works in all other combat sports. It would actually make sense, but I digress. Only for the supernatural fiend to rise up off the stretcher and continue this attack. And all of this then struck down one night later when they draft the fiend to SmackDown. But he was given one more shot in a match where it would not be stopped for any reason, like a Hell in the Cell supposed to be. So, in booking this feud with a ton of potential, there was something here. And then they went and booked it bass backwards, gave it the worst possible ending of all the choice they possibly could, and cut him off right at the knees before it could go anywhere. And this is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I'm catching things. I'm 100% with Lisa. Just save the cages for war games, but put a fucking top on the cage in war games and let them bleed.
And Lisa. No, Shayna's not the best wrestler in the world. Shut your pie hole. Shut your pie hole. Not happening. So we're talking about the Fiend.
Yes, yeah, I missed the Fiends last night, so.
So that was our top 5. I'll get to. Let's go ahead and draw another top 5 for
well, I
next
was
week.
gonna say you talk about the Fiend because the thing is over there, and I forgot to grab it. So you
Okay.
talk about the Fiend.
Well, I want you to be here for this. I want your opinion on it. So
I
go ahead and you go grab that cup, and
bitch.
you grab that cup, and when you get back, we're going to talk about SmackDown, which I should have talked about when we were talking about SmackDown. Talk about the Fiend and Braun Strowman.
Well, like we said a couple weeks ago, I didn't think that was going to go anywhere on Backlash because there was more for him to do.
Yes, there is. So let's get what is our next top 5. If you guys have your top 5 Hell in a Cell matches, go ahead, leave them in a comment on this video, or just post them on our wall of our Facebook page or Twitter. Let us know your top 5 worst Hell in a Cell matches.
So
next week.
Time. Oh, I love the fun because I keep getting to crap on things. So next week, we'll be talking about our top 5 worst factions.
Worst factions.
Worst factions. Worst factions. Now I swear that I know for a fact there are things in this cup that say best.
I think we did best factions not too long ago.
No, wait, that's a worst. Hang on. I swear there's got to be a best in here somewhere. Oh, crap, that's a worst. I wish I were kidding. This isn't a bit, folks. I'm really trying to see if anything says, God bless it, that's a worst too. Oh, did we do too many bests in our first season?
We did a lot of bests in our first season.
Are we just going to crap on everything?
Well, we
did do technically we did a best last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Are there any bests left?
Top 5 favorites.
Okay. There's a best. God, that's going to be hard as hell. But I got one best in there.
All right. So next week, our top 5 worst factions, top 5 worst groups. And if you have some, go ahead. I know it was sarcasm, Lisa. So was mine. All right.
Hey, I promise. Let me tell you what. It just hit me. It just hit me because of things. I promise I will be able to do this top 5 list and not gotta get a copyright strike on this video.
We will. We won't be playing any music.
It went over your head. It's okay.
Oh, sorry. So, Lisa said, I mean, 2020 has been the worst. Let's just keep it consistent. I mean, hey, we got sandstorms coming, so there's that.
God, I was thought we were done with the rude. Done with the rude back in college.
So, this past SmackDown, this past week,
Yeah, last night,
that happening. The Fiend comes on, a new Firefly Funhouse. In the middle of
nice.
Firefly Funhouse, big show. Braun Strowman's music hits the train, whatever it is now. I forget what it's called. He comes out, starts interacting, and then Bray goes. You think he's going into the Fiend character? No. He gets into that Bray Wyatt family voice.
The Waylon Mercy gimmick.
He gets into that Bray the Wyatt family voice, and then it cuts, and he's there with his long hair, his Hawaiian shirt, and his cap. You know where to find me. Just follow the buzzards. And it ends. I'm like, okay.
I'm
for this. I'm for. Are you so? Are they? Are they gonna do with Bray Wyatt what they've been doing with Matt Hardy? Just switching switching his versions of him.
Well, they can. They actually can.
Please tell me he's gonna come back as Husky Harris.
I mean, in the right context, maybe. Look, if he didn't go as Husky Harris for the Firefly Funhouse match, then
that's true.
Did he actually? I don't remember. He might have.
That was such a acid trip. I don't remember.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out if I was high again.
Strowman Express. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. So yeah, so I don't know if he showed up as Husky Harris or they just made reference to Husky Harris. I don't know. It's been a long time, and I haven't had enough drugs. So
I mean, they reference him with his pig mascot for the Fiend.
That's right.
Huskus or something like that. But when I seen that, like, I'll find the video and I'll share it. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll show you here when we're done. But it was pretty sweet. I was pretty pumped that they're gonna kind of mix the Fiend with the original character that the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt cut in half with the chainsaw.
I have said we've for as long as we've been doing this show that the character that I think has the most potential and actually gives you the most freedom to work with from a story perspective is Bray Wyatt, and then later the Fiend. And the more that they kind of get a chance to explore that, and now being able to go back, back to all the way back, we're gonna thankfully forget the Eater of Worlds bit and go all the way back to the Wyatt family. And you use this history. It's awesome, and then you can retell history with this. Yes. And hopefully, someone will finally leave poor Braun's car alone.
Hopefully, leave poor Braun Strowman's amazing old car alone. Rest in peace, Braun's car.
Like God, how many? He's got to have safe lane on speed dial by now. He just shows up to the things like, are you gonna mess with my car again today? Yep.
I'm gonna need you guys to hear about 7:30. Thanks.
I'll call the guy. Just I'll make an appointment now.
Be on standby. But all right, well, we appreciate you guys joining us and hanging out with us, watching, commenting. Make sure you go like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thefinisherpodcast. Boom, right down there in the bottom left corner. Same with Twitter, all that. You can find all that info along with everywhere where you can find us on podcast. If you head over to thefinisherpodcast.com, Everything is there. Just click on where to find us, and there's links that you can just click on, and boom, it takes you right to where you can find us.
YouTubes and the Twitches and
Twitch,
this
and
and
we try 3 times a week.
yeah,
I'm
we
going
tried.
through a home remodeling, so I'm got some stuff going on, but we may do it sometime again this weekend. I don't know. If not,
Hopefully, I mean your internet died the other night on us.
it died. Yeah.
Um, and
But
and also really quickly, if we think about it, there's also a couple friends of the show to mention as well. Some other couple other podcasts to look out if you're a music fan. I happen to also be splitting my time over in another area. If you want to wander over to fairlykickass.com, and you have any interest in new music whatsoever, we've got a ton of stuff up there. We do a podcast every 2 weeks. Not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday we'll take a look at the best of June 20 that was released in June 2020. I get the pop music, and my co-writers and bloggers do an amazing job trying to review as many albums that come out. That's fun, and a blast from the past. Just because it hit me when we started doing this. If you're still a comic book fan in the middle of this chaos that is in fact been going on, Comic Chaos with our old buddy Fred Lefevre's
perfect name,
Jim Beard,
Chaos.
right? They're still
They're
plugging
still
away.
doing it. Yeah, so go check them out. Look up Facebook Comic Chaos Podcast. Same with Twitter. Look them up, follow them. Like I've said before in our first season, they're not two guys living in their mom's basement eating Cheetos. They know what they're talking about it. One of them actually works in the industry and has his own comics and novels published. So go check them out.
They may have, in fact, spent a lot of time in the last 3 months in their own basements.
They have. They may have.
Everyone had to spend their lockdown differently.
At least they weren't all drug into a bunker afraid of riots.
Nope.
Anyway, so we will see you guys next week, usually on Saturday. Could be a Sunday. Who knows what the hell's going on, but we will let you know right here on our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Finisher Podcast. And we will see you guys next week. Maybe. Music. Play. See you guys next week.